What's going on, boys and girls? Today we're going to talk about a fragrance from the house of Lorenzo Pazzaglia. Unfortunately, if you look out on the internet, everybody's only talking about the most popular, the most hyped fragrances from this house, but they've got a pretty stacked lineup. All of their fragrances very potent and very sweet from my experience. Today we're going to veer off to the left and try some of their sea line. Strap up. We're going for that ride. All right, welcome to the Scent Bubble. I am your host for the morning for once. How's that sound? Hey, today from the house of Lorenzo Pazzaglia, we have, where the heck is it actually? Arktik Sea. I grabbed the wrong fragrance this morning, but here we go. We're good. All right, so from my understanding, I think there's a bunch of different little micro lines inside the fragrance line of Lorenzo Pazzaglia. I have probably 20 of them, sitting around me. So we're going to cover a lot here, but this is the sea line. And Arktik Sea in particular is a unisex fragrance, ranking 3.92 out of 5. Only 535 votes. That's still substantial, though. We're going to round up, so that's 4 out of 5. Definitely a gotta get your nose on it. Not necessarily mass appeal, but certainly respectable. Launched in 2023, this is classified as a woody aquatic. So, without further ado, I do know people have been talking about this fragrance in the background, in the shadows. What would that be like? So, the note pyramids for many of the Lorenzo Pazzaglia line are very intriguing and very cool looking. So I know this one was no different. I'm going to do one spray on wrist. This is Lorenzo. That's all you need. Hit the test strip once just to say we did. Let's set that to the side. And yeah, I mean, right off the bat with a lot of Lorenzo, it's just, the moment you spray it, it's just a poof of, scent profile, an explosion of scent. And I know that's what people are looking for. That's what people love the most about this line is if you ever were struggling with performance, struggling with projection, finding a scent that really growls, every Lorenzo I've come across so far just is coming out with, coming out swinging. And so I get an explosion of scent. This is kind of a slight marine aquatic, not so much marine though. It's got a slightly dark tone to the aquatic. This isn't like sunny days out on the sea. It could be, but I think this is more of like a weather appropriate scent. I prefer scents like this with a breeze. I almost feel like there's muffled citrus. So it's like imagine like yuzu lemon or lime or something like that. Like you sliced a little bit of the shell on the outside. So it's bursting with flavor, but it's not super juicy flavor. It's like somewhere between juicy and briny citrus. And then hugging it very tightly by about 70% is this overtone of like a dark blue, maybe a little bit minty as well. I'm not quite sure. Be interested to see if there's some sort of note giving it a minty essence. Intriguing, nice. This got to be yuzu or some kind of lemon, but yeah, Arctic blue. I don't know how cold it feels, but there is a bit of an air to it, like a cold air to it. So it's either mint or spearmint or something that's kind of giving this spritz on it. On skin, it's pretty beautiful. It's not the moon and the stars, but it's definitely a substantial fragrance. Let's check this out a little bit. Oops, sorry about that one. Here we go. All right, so let's see what we're dealing with. Sea notes, ozonic notes, wormwood, bergamot, lime. I actually use wormwood in a tincture. It's extremely potent as a herbal remedy for much of I don't know if it's bacteria as much as it is just deworming yourself. This thing's a potent killer. I'm surprised you can get that as a raw material for fragrance, because I know when you cook it or extract it, it's extremely potent. My nose almost can't even handle it. It's a good treatment of it in here, but now that it says it, I can totally make out its presence in the fragrance. But surprisingly, it's so citric ozonic dark bluish that it's not a bad thing. It actually smells good in this fragrance. So that's very surprising to me. Bergamot, lime, yuzu, pink grapefruit. That's what I kind of get, that yuzu citron going on. Seems very prominent as the main part of the citrus. Green notes, orange blossom. Gosh, this note pyramid is looking like a rosea, isn't it, guys? Orange blossom, citron, pink pepper, mandarin orange, sea notes, myrtle, white flower, fig, jasmine, davana, rose, wisteria, sea salt, ambergris, oak moss, woods, amber, ambrit, patchouli. This is a note pyramid that would entice you to buy a fragrance, but would confuse the heck out of you because you really have no clue as to what you're getting into. And that sucks, because for someone who hasn't smelled this before, this is useless. What can I consolidate for you guys? It is a slightly dark blue, soapy, florally muffled citrus. It's very airy, but within that air, you get touches of this kind of cleanly white floral, touches of this kind of, white, sometimes white floral and citrus, when they come together, they smell soapy. But there's this cologne note. I can tell the synthetic that's in it. That's just kind of giving off this aquatic soapiness. Yeah, I mostly get that white floral experience producing some kind of cleanly soapiness with the yuzu citron, and then all this kind of aquatic air behind it. It is a good fragrance. It's balanced to perfection. It's not louder than Black Sea, but it's a very projective fragrance. I imagine the sillage on this is going to be about 3-4 feet. 3. And you should easily get over 6 hours of performance on this. Most people are reporting eternal, and just behind it in second place is long lasting. So this is probably, I'll be honest with you guys, I have some Lorenzo fragrances and I don't even count, because I think the first time I wore them, they were pushing over 10 hours on my skin. So I think you should get 8 hours, no question. I do have some fragrances from the Sea line as well as the more gourmand part of the line. So you're in good hands, like Allstate. This fragrance reminds people of Megamare and Bahar from Spirit of Dubai. That's interesting. I do think it smells in the family of Megamare, but they're like distant cousins that don't know about each other. You get a similar kind of cologne experience. Cologne is the synthetic used to create that kind of oceanic vibe. But Megamare is a little more abrasive and potent, whereas I feel this is a lot smoother, quieter, softer, but still has that robustness. When I try Megamare, it is smooth, but in a different way. Like, to me, I think most people would find Megamare or Megamare to be quite robust, punchy, and loud and inescapable, whereas this is inescapable, but in the quietest way possible. It's a great scent. Let me zoom out and get you guys some usuals, and we will wrap up. I'm very impressed with the scent so far, as well as the entire line. What can I say? My eyes feel like they're just so red this morning. Clean, soapy, floral, dark blue mostly. And it's basically like a soapy, clean marine aquatic, floral style, white floral style, with a bit of a dark blue tint. It's not quite Bleu de Chanel Le Exclusive dark, but somewhere in between there, you know? Mostly clean, a little bit sweet, charactered and swagged out. This is a good Lorenzo. I'm not mad at this at all. Would I buy it? Sure. Sure. And to be honest, what do I have? I have Black Sea. Every time I get Arctic Sea confused with Black Sea, I think it was because I was going to buy both at one point and narrowed in on Black Sea. So when I smell Arctic Sea, I'm like, wait a second, do I have this? This will resemble a lot of fragrances, but the problem is I don't think you're going to get as much longevity as this in the same profile in many of the other fragrances. You'll get decent performance, but they really handled the synthetics properly here to really get an all-day experience with this. I think it could be polarizing. If you're not a big fan of like longevity and stuff, I think this scent could feel, you know, like if you're not impressed by longevity, this scent could feel like, oh, I could get this somewhere else. But it really is balanced to perfection. It's refined. It's a true niche fragrance. It's a Lorenzo, so it's popular. You got cool factor. Some people who are adverse to either medicinal smells or herbal smells or mentholic smells might approach this and not be able to make out the beauty that's behind it, because there's this overtone of the wormwood and kind of mint and kind of the calones. So you've got a lot of obstacles to get past, but I think it's just love or hate. You know, most people won't detect that, and those intense flavors will just glue as a part of the fragrance, and you can make out the beauty of the citrus and the florals, but this is dominated kind of by a different experience over top of it. As a scent, I give it a very solid 8. It's well above average, just all across the board. I don't know if I'm pushing towards 9. Other fragrances from the line are less safe, but if you want a safe niche soapy floral aquatic that's different than most that you try at the designer level, this would be a very solid upgrade with eternal performance. So I'm not mad at it. It's just once you get into the niche category of aquatics, this may feel generic. But to each his own. That's just my opinion. I think this is Four Seasons wear. Obviously, it's suited, in my opinion, more towards spring, summer, but I could see like evening nights on the beach with something like this. This is sexy. It's clean, it's safe, but it punches, it booms off skin. Sprays on this, I'm really going like 4 to 5. Lorenzo booms so crazy. I've never felt the need to go over 6 at all. And oftentimes when I creep around that 5 or 6 number, I start getting worried because I start to smell myself too much, you know. It's like a good party gone bad. Occasions for this. I'm wearing this. Anything with a light breeze, I think I'm game for. You know, if it's really hot, stay away from hot weather with a fragrance like this, in my opinion. So like anything below 75 degrees, breeze, morning, breakfast, lunch, dinner, I'd wear it for sure, but I demand a breeze. I think I'm less inclined to wear this scent indoors and more outdoors. It's nice to have a scent like this that can go outdoors and still have eternal longevity. So that's another great point normally with aquatics. If you're outside too much, they just evaporate after 4 or 5 hours. So this is one that's going to be a road dog for you when you need a signature scent that will go a whole day and can go outdoor, indoor, and be dynamic. Alternatives to this, you really have a lot. Unfortunately, I don't want to name a specific fragrance. You do have the alternative with Lattafa Atlas. There was a note in it that really threw me off, but a lot of people, I've heard some people say Atlas is their favorite niche fragrance or favorite clone fragrance, which is bonkers to me because it's my worst. But maybe I just got a bad batch. I'm not sure. It's a very acquired taste kind of smell profile. So who knows? So Atlas is an option to you, which also opens up a niche alternative, which is Mega Mare or Mega Mare from Ordo Parisi. Very high quality fragrance. And in this category, you could go with one of the Torinos from Sherzhoff. Anything soapy, florally clean citric. So you can even go into Imagination, anything from the Louis V line. But this is kind of like a dark conservative side to the LV line. So yeah, you have a lot of options there. Again, it's a solid 8 out of 10 for me. I do think it's perfectly unisex. Maybe with the mintiness has a masculine edge. I don't want to call it a lean because this does feel truly unisex. If you like soapy floral aquatics, then dive right in. I just think some of the texture is a bit brash for women, but we've been having this conversation all week. I think wear what you want to wear, obviously, but my job's to give you the information. So I want to give you information even though it's culturally and gender influenced, because I live in a realistic world where people think through that type of stuff. And so obviously, if you're a more daring person, disregard some parts of what I say. Anyways, guys, this was Lorenzo Pazzaglia Arktik Sea. Like, comment, subscribe. More importantly, turn on that notification bell. Talk to me. I do talk back. Sound off in the comments which fragrances you own from the Lorenzo Pazzaglia line and which ones you're interested in, as well as interested in, as well as let me know in the comment section if you have any more questions about this particular fragrance and if you've gotten your nose on it, so that we can continue to provide additional information in the comments section for anybody considering this fragrance. Hope you guys have a blessed rest of your week. And until next time, peace.